generally, I think that literature should offer options to get away from one's own everyday life, as well as making one's own life more clear, or having options to identify with. And maybe it helps if I tell the story of a girl who I once met in a reading in Berlin, I think it was. And I was there reading From the Black Bird as well. And this girl later on came to me and said, well, I have lost my grandmother recently. And when I read the novel, I suddenly felt that I'm not alone. And I had this kind of feeling of coming home. And I think this says exactly what I really want to say, that literature should offer options to feel at home in which way soever. And I do hope that once in 100 times, a million times, when somebody reads one of my books, he or she has this very feeling to be at home in the novel. Then I would be really glad. The Big Black Bird, the novel that has been recently been translated into Macedonian, and this is actually one of, the most personal novel I wrote, because I have experienced loss myself. My first partner and also the father of my daughter suddenly died when I was 32, so quite early and unexpectedly, and I was left with my first child. And of course, this had a strong impact on my life. And first of all, I just wanted to tell the story of how people don't know how to deal with somebody who has experienced sudden loss. And of course, I also wanted to write the experiences down for my daughter for later, and also for myself, to not forget about how this was, the first weeks, the first months. And what I really want to stress here is, or to emphasize, is that although there's of course lots of sad hours and sad feelings where you don't know how to go on in these days after the loss, there's also very many funny moments, and I tried to capture that in The Big Black Bird, that there's these moments when you suddenly have to laugh because something is so absurd in this situation that, I just wanted to talk about that one. I find your fourth question very interesting. You asked me about fairy tales because Ben talks about the fact that fairy tales often deal with children who haven't got a mother, or who haven't got a father, or both of them. So orphans or half orphans are often dealt with in fairy tales. Nobody asked me about that yet, but sure. What he sees is that these stories are maybe not for children who have just lost their father or their mother. And I think it's actually maybe the other way around. This is probably a thought that I had myself in these days. Can I even read stories to my child who has just lost her father, my daughter, namely Johanna? And I had the feeling that, fairy tales maybe deal with that topic in a more authentic or just natural way than we do today. It's just what I wish for, is that people would be able to deal with death and loss and sickness, because it's an aspect of all our lives. So it's simply normal that we should be able to deal with that. So why not read fairy tales? Of course, in a fairy tale, it's sometimes a very hard way to deal with loss or with death. But maybe this could be a beginning of dealing with the topic at all.